Georgia, the peach state. At least that's what the license plates say. That's what every street sign in Atlanta proclaims. That's the entire brand this state has sold to the world for over a century. But here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Georgia isn't even close to being America's peach capital anymore. Not second place, not even a respectable runner-up. Try third. And the state that actually wears the crown, it produces nearly 20 times more peaches than Georgia ever could. So what the hell happened? How does a state lose the one crop that defines its entire identity? This is the story of how Georgia's peaches went from legend to afterthought, and why the peach state might not have any peaches left at all. Let's start with some numbers that'll make you question everything you thought you knew. In 2022, Georgia produced about 24,800 tons of peaches. Sounds decent, right? Until you realize California cranked out 475,000 tons that same year. That's not a competition, that's a massacre. And it gets worse. South Carolina, Georgia's neighbor that nobody ever associates with peaches, grew 67,400 tons, nearly triple what Georgia managed. Georgia ranks third in U.S. peach production, and peaches make up a pathetic 0.58% of the state's agricultural economy. They don't even crack the top 10 agricultural products by value. Cotton, chickens, pecans, peanuts, they all dwarf peaches. So why does Georgia cling to this peach mythology? Why plaster fruit on every license plate, name 70 streets Peachtree, and refuse to let go of a crop that barely exists anymore? The answer takes us back to 1875, to a man named Samuel Rumpf, who would accidentally save Georgia's soul. Rumpf wasn't trying to build an empire. He was a farmer in Marshallville, experimenting with peach varieties, trying to find something that could survive Georgia's unpredictable weather and still taste incredible. And then he created it, the Alberta peach, named after his wife, Clara Alberta. This wasn't just another fruit. The Alberta was a revolution. It was massive, golden, sweet, and tough enough to survive long railroad journeys to northern markets without turning to mush. Within years, it became the most widely planted peach variety on the planet. But here's what makes Rumpf's story beautiful and tragic. He never patented the Alberta. He gave it away, shared cuttings with anyone who asked. His innovation rebuilt Georgia's post-Civil War economy, gave the state a new identity beyond cotton and slavery, and he never made a fortune from it. By the 1920s and 1930s, Georgia was riding high. Peach festivals in Fort Valley drew over 20,000 people to a town of just 4,000. The New South had found its symbol, and it was soft, sweet, and required no apologies for the past. But even during those glory years, something sinister was already creeping through the orchards. Brown rot disease showed up in the early 1900s, turning perfect peaches into rotting, moldy disasters before they even reached market. Farmers would load rail cars full of fruit, and by the time they arrived up north, entire shipments were worthless. Then came something even worse in the 1960s, Peachtree short-life syndrome. Trees would look healthy, start bearing fruit, and then just suddenly wither and die. No warning, no cure, no explanation. It nearly destroyed Georgia's peach industry completely. Farmers were pulling out orchards, walking away from generations of family land. It took political intervention, Senator Richard B. Russell Jr. fighting for federal funding, to establish a peach research laboratory in Byron, Georgia. Scientists worked for years to understand what was killing the trees, breeding resistant varieties, teaching farmers new techniques. The industry barely survived, but it did survive for a while. And then the climate started changing. Here's something most people don't know about peaches. They're incredibly picky about cold. Peach trees need what's called chill hours, time spent below 45 degrees Fahrenheit during winter dormancy. Specifically, they need about 850 of those hours to produce fruit. Without enough cold, the trees don't know when to wake up, when to bloom, when to set fruit. Georgia's warming winter started creating chaos. Some years had enough chill hours, some didn't. Farmers couldn't predict anything anymore. And then 2023 happened, the year that might have broken Georgia peaches for good. That winter, Georgia only got about 700 chill hours, not enough. Then February turned warm, tricking the trees into blooming early, and then late frosts rolled through in March, freezing every single blossom on the branch. 90 to 95% of Georgia's peach crop was wiped out, gone. Farmers walked through their orchards in shock, staring at trees full of blackened, dead flowers. One farmer told reporters, "You hold on to hope until it hits you in the face. There's nothing here." It was the worst harvest since the 1990s, and it wasn't even the first time. The same thing happened in 2017, destroying 85% of that year's crop, too. The numbers tell a story that's hard to look at directly. Georgia now has only 11,582 acres of peach orchards left. Compare that to the 1.21 million acres of cotton growing across the state. Peaches are a rounding error. Georgia makes more money from pine straw than peaches. Blueberries bring in more revenue. Deer hunting leases are more valuable than peach farming. Broiler chickens are worth 50 times more than the entire peach industry. Even during the peak years, production was wildly unpredictable. 826,000 bushels in 1909, then 4.4 million in 1924, back down to 1 million in 1929. Farmers couldn't count on consistency, and now they can't count on growing seasons that make any sense at all. And the land itself is too valuable to keep farming. Suburban sprawl is eating up orchards faster than any disease ever could. But here's the strangest twist in this whole story. Georgia doesn't seem to care that the peaches are disappearing. The mythology is more important than the reality. Atlanta has over 70 streets with Peachtree in the name. The state's health insurance program for kids is called Peach Care. There's an entire county named Peach County, though it's not even the top peach producer in the state anymore. That's Macon County. Every year, the Georgia Peach Festival bakes the world's largest peach cobbler, an 11-foot-wide monster that takes a forklift to move. License plates still feature peaches. Tourist brochures still show peach orchards that mostly don't exist. One agricultural expert said something that stuck with me. "I can easily imagine Georgia remaining the peach state decades after it's no longer producing any peaches at all." Think about that. The symbol outliving the substance. So what's being done? The University of Georgia is breeding new varieties, trying to create peaches that need fewer chill hours, that can handle warmer winters, that might survive whatever climate we're heading toward. Scientists are exploring genetic modification, tweaking the biological switches that control when trees bloom. Some farmers had a better year in 2024, calling it a ton of peaches after the 2023 disaster, but even they're questioning whether this is a viable enterprise anymore. Climate projections say that by 2050, 40% of Georgia winters won't meet the chill hour requirements peaches need. Farmers are getting federal disaster designations and emergency loans just to stay afloat year to year. The future of Georgia peaches won't look anything like the past. It'll be smaller orchards, specialty varieties, agritourism operations where people pay to pick their own fruit. The industrial-scale production? That's already gone. Georgia peaches were never really about the numbers anyway. They were about the story. A story that helped the state heal after the Civil War, that gave Georgia an identity beyond slavery and defeat, that let people imagine a sweeter future. Samuel Rumpf understood that. He gave away the Alberta peach for free because he knew the real value wasn't in owning something, it was in what that something represented. Now that story is colliding with climate reality, with economics, with a world that's changing faster than peach trees can adapt. California grows the peaches, South Carolina ships more fruit, but Georgia still owns the mythology, the romance, the idea of what a peach should be. The orchards are shrinking, the harvests are failing, and climate change is rewriting Georgia's agricultural identity in real time. The peach isn't gone yet, but it's fighting for every harvest, and one day soon, the peach state might just be a memory of something that once was. If you've ever tasted a real Georgia peach, the kind that drips down your chin and tastes like summer itself, drop a comment and share that memory. If this story hit you, smash that like button. And if you want more deep dives into how climate, economics, and history are reshaping the places we love, subscribe, because these stories matter. They're about more than crops. They're about who we are and who we're becoming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.